The 6-day goodbye for the United States' 39th president began today. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Riley Phillips. If you look next to me, this is video the moment Jimmy Carter's casket arrived at the Jimmy Carter Center in Atlanta. An arrival ceremony and service took place right after. At the Carter Center, the public will be able to pay their respects to the former president starting at 7 tonight until Tuesday. The funeral procession started in Plains, Georgia, Carter's hometown. Before the sun came up, visitors poured into the town to make sure to get a good vantage point of the motorcade. An estimated 200 to 300 people lined the streets of downtown Plains, coming from out of state and from around the corner. As the hearse passed by them, people from different political parties waved flags to honor the 39th president. One mother drove her teenage son from Illinois because he was so taken by Jimmy Carter.
I never got to meet him in person, so I think being here, it would kind of allow me to, see his funeral procession go by and just kind of, just witness it so I can say I was here.
Jimmy Carter is like the best role model I could ask for a son who's going into political science, that he puts his values above everything else.
We thank God for the legacy that will live on for generations and generations to come.
And the motorcade drove right in front of Carter's former presidential campaign headquarters, which is an old train depot in Plains, to his boyhood home and farm a couple miles away, where the motorcade stopped and a bell rang 39 times honoring the 39th president. Plains, Georgia is where Jimmy Carter's story began and where he will be buried. But his story by no means comes to an end. Our Jessica Clark reports from Plains, speaking with his niece about his legacy.
But these are just old, like for example this.
Kim Fuller,
Uncle Jimmy and Aunt Ruth right here.
has piles of Jimmy Carter memorabilia.
These are all the things from the high school up there.
She runs the Friends of Jimmy Carter organization in Plains, Georgia, and she's family.
I am his niece.
Her father is Billy, the brother of Jimmy Carter.
Well, I remember when he sat all of us down and said he was going to run for president. Uncle Jimmy was the first president that I voted for.
Her walls do talk, telling the story of Jimmy Carter, president, peacemaker, and proud Plains resident. His death has sent a ripple of mourning through the town.
The sense of the folks who have come to Plains this week to visit or to be here for the funeral procession is really not one of sorrow, but of reverence.
Today, I'm grateful. I just so much gratitude that someone like President Carter grew up here and had a dream.
But people here in Plains who knew Jimmy Carter are indeed sad.
I'm somewhat sad because, you're talking about a key figure for not only Georgia, but the United States.
It's hard. I'm okay. We're okay. But there've been moments. There've been moments when it just kind of, I can't. Because even though he hasn't been around physically in a while, because he's not been able to, we always knew he was there.
Fuller continues to collect keepsakes about a man who grew up on a farm in Plains, left to change the world, and returned home having left a lasting mark on its people.
He cared about this town. They came home because Plains is a major part of their story, and I'm hoping that we'll be able to keep telling that story.
In Plains, Georgia, Jessica Clark, First Coast News on your side.
Jimmy Carter will lie in repose at the Carter Presidential Center until Tuesday morning. He will then travel to Washington, D.C. for the last time. There, U.S. leaders and members of Congress will pay their respects before a lie in state period at the U.S. Capitol building until Thursday. At 9 a.m. on January 9th, a motorcade will take the late president from the U.S. Capitol to the Washington National Cathedral for a brief ceremony that will be followed by a funeral service. After the service, the Carter family will head to Joint Base Andrews before Special Air Mission 39 will take them back to the 39th president's home state. After they land, a motorcade will head to Maranatha Baptist Church for a private funeral service. At 4:45 p.m., President Carter and his family will travel by motorcade to his home for a private interment. Members of the community are invited to line up along the route to see the late president off to his final resting place. And streaming on demand on First Coast News Plus, you can watch Remembering Jimmy Carter, a First Coast News special, a 30-minute show all about Jimmy Carter's life. Watch that now on First Coast News Plus.